This chat will be called My Distant Relations. One thing is very clear now that we've done the genome project that maps the DNA and is seeking to map all the genes. But one thing is very clear, and that is that you and me are related to all forms of life in history. They can check out the DNA and they can see how you are very much, one of our closest relations is the orangutans. And if you've ever gone to a zoo and you look at the monkeys or the orangutans or even the gorillas, which are a little further distant relative of ours, their eyes will look at you. And you will look in their eyes and think, gosh, that looks like a human being. But we have the same formation in our DNA. It's very clear from the Genome Project when you go through all the various phyla, species on this planet, that we're all related to a single source way back maybe 4 billion years ago. And right now I'm studying how there's a hypothesis that life began in these hypothermals in the ocean because the ultraviolet rays would not have allowed it on the surface, and perhaps the first cells were created in these hypothermals that have all kind of chemicals and extremely high temperature, these boiling funnels that are coming out of the earth. And I'm interested in that, but we do know from the Genome Project that we are all related. We have a single source. And I hope that means to you, because it certainly means this to my wife and I, and many of the people that we know, is that there needs to be a ground appreciation for all of it. Now, of course, we know that life, in order to survive, must eat other life. If you are a vegetarian, you are eating other life. If you only eat oatmeal and rye and grain, you're eating other life. If you are a bug, you are eating other life to survive. Life survives on other life forms. That's just part of the reality. Now, when I say that you're related to the original bacteria, you may say, oh my gosh, and go into some type of disgust reaction like Charles Darwin talked about. And I understand that. You look at this scum on the beach and you say, I don't want to claim you as a relative. But the fact is that one cell bacteria happens to be a relative of yours. And you might want to back out a little bit on your negative reaction, because if it weren't for bacteria in each cell of your body, you wouldn't be alive. I'm speaking particularly of mitochondria. Somewhere back, way back, 3.8 billion years ago, maybe, or maybe 2 billion years ago, but a very long time, one bacteria swallowed another bacteria. And rather than digesting it and that other bacteria being nutrition, that bacteria that was swallowed remained whole. And that is the mitochondria. And that is very important for you, because mitochondria cells that you inherited from your mother and not your father. He contributed other things, but not your energy. Your energy mitochondria cell processes food and gives you the energy to move your hands, to look with your eyes, to walk with your legs. That is done by one little bacterial part of a cell in each cell in your body. We need that bacteria, so we just as well learn to appreciate bacteria. Now, I've gone through the woods I love walking in the forest looking for mushrooms. And people in Europe do that more than they do in the United States, though in rural areas in mid-America, people do look for mushrooms. And even in Michigan, they go looking for mushrooms. And I know of no better food than, I'm trying to think of the name of it. I can't think of the name of it. Honey, can you tell me?
Morel, I think.
Morel mushroom. And this is absolutely elegant. It's a porous little thing, looks like a little Christmas tree. And I've walked with friends of mine finding them. You soak them overnight to get the, I don't want to go into this long story on mushrooms, but the idea is to love this particular relative. It makes sense, but they're also poisonous mushrooms that you've got to watch out for. Plants, just to think that my relative there might be a raspberry growing on a fence row in Kentucky, and my relative might be a strawberry plant in a garden I planted. My relative might be, all those are my relatives if you go back far enough. And the idea is to treasure them. Treasure each life form on this earth. Yes, we do have to live. Yes, we do have to survive. Yes, we cannot eat a poisonous mushroom. I'm not recommending you eating bacteria, but those are distant relatives, and that awareness leads to appreciation. So when we go through Kansas and we see fields of soybeans and fields of corn, we are going through rows and rows and farm after farm of our relatives that we can appreciate. As for animals, each animal in a zoo, each animal that is not in a zoo in the wilds of Africa or India or China or Russia or Canada, each one of those is our relative. So this lesson is simply to tell the truth about a background for appreciation of life. And I hope it affects you in my preacher mode to look more at each item that is alive with appreciation.